12 years ago in Michigan, a student was facing the graduation of his master's degree. After spending 5.5 years in college exploring only the World of Warcraft, he finally decided to quit gaming, learn something useful, and start thinking about his future. Before that, he was playing the game non-stop every day till 7 o'clock in the morning, then sleeping and waking up at 5 p.m. just to go back to the game. He didn't learn a single thing as a geographic student. He neglected his major so much that he couldn't even name all the countries that are adjacent to his home country, China. And that kid was me. I was lucky enough to become friends with one of the top students in my class who didn't judge me for my past and share something he loved and thought might help me at the time: Linux. Ubuntu, to be more specific. With his help, I was able to become a software engineer by using Ubuntu 11.04. I was blown away by how easy it is to start coding using a system without pirating or paying money, how to use those fancy keyboard shortcuts on Emacs, and how I can do everything in the terminal, which makes me look like a hacker and show off my ego among my other friends. Years later, Ubuntu ditched their iconic desktop environment, Unity, and went for GNOME. Even though they made the default look and feel matching the original design, I still miss the old desktop, given that it was one of the most widely known, easy-to-use user interfaces in Linux community when I first stepped in. More years have passed. Unity flavor Ubuntu was picked up by a 10-year-old open-source developer and finally became the official spin in the Ubuntu family. I had to give it a try and make this video for my past, to my old friend, and to give tributes to those memories. So let's start with the installation now. The Unity flavor is using the same installer as other spins, so the experience is on par with others. I remembered when I was using my old laptop, which had both Intel and nVidia GPU, the installation would fail if I enabled the option to install the third-party and proprietary software. But that was on version 18.04 3 years ago. So I want to test it again. I was surprised that not only the installation passed, it also detected nVidia GPU and installed the proprietary driver automatically. It's a nice experience as a dual GPU laptop user. After that, it is time to upgrade the system. Nothing interesting happened, and the reboot after that is fine. Let's experience the new old UI everybody fell in love with. We can see a lot of things in this flavor now available on the official Ubuntu GNOME desktop, especially the full-length dock on the left. We also have the minimization and maximization buttons available out of the box on Windows. They will be integrated to the top bar when a window is maximized, which gave me the nostalgic feeling. And that is why Unity is famous for new users back in the days, because unlike the pure GNOME desktop now, people don't have to install or use GNOME Tweak tool to enable those buttons. Additionally, like GNOME desktop, the Unity version also has the program called Unity Tweak tool, from which you can move the dock to the bottom, change the opacity, modify the top bar display information, and change the system theme and font family. But be aware, the Tweak tool can only do a handful of things to a certain degree. You can move the dock to the bottom, but you cannot center align the icons or change the length of the dock. The ability of the Unity Tweak tool is very similar to the GNOME Tweak tool. And on GNOME, if you want to further tweak the desktop, you could install extensions to do so, which is missing on Unity. I am very accustomed to a specific extension on GNOME called Caffeine, which can disable the screen saving with one click. Although KDE and XFCE can't install extensions either, they offer similar features on their environment, but not Unity. I tried searching for a solution but couldn't find how to install extensions on it. I had to go into the brightness and lock in the system settings, change the timer to never, disable the dim and lock options, go to the power settings and disable the suspension to get the same thing working. I also see people wanting to use the weather extension from GNOME but can't make it work in the official forum. So the extensibility might be the blocker for people who wants to try out Unity. Next, I tried setting up flatpak and install Steam. For some reason, the application icon didn't show up automatically in the application menu initially. I pinned it to the dock, but the pin icon was not functioning well. However, once I restarted the machine, I can see the menu icon showing up in the applications, and everything works fine. And the newly installed applications afterwards don't have this issue. Finally, I want to test some AAA games, because that was the one thing I couldn't do properly back in the days. With Steam, I installed Assassin's Creed Origin. Before recording this video, it was not uncommon to see Uplay is not found error when starting this game without any tinkering for the first time, and I had to use Proton tricks to fix this issue. But this time, the game started Uplay without me having to tinker anything. I just signed in and then was able to play it. It is probably a very recent fix by Proton, Steam, or Ubisoft team, because I also tried the same thing on the Fedora system I installed permanently for gaming on this USB external drive I mentioned in this video, which confirms that the game doesn't need tinkering anymore, because Uplay will be installed automatically behind the scene during the first time launching. With this fix and Divinity Original Sin 2 being fixed several months back, I've lost all the legal games that needs tinkering to play on Linux. I may have to spend more money on new games to generate more content for Linux gaming. Darn it, Linux gaming community, why are you guys so good at fixing games? If you happen to know any cheap AAA games that are fun to play and still need a bit of tinkering to play on Linux, please let me know in the comment below. I'll give them a look. Just 2 requirements. It has to be famous and cheap. Ubuntu Unity definitely gave me the taste of the past. I had a lot of fun using it. It reminds me of my college time, my first couple of months of my coding life, when I used only Emacs, Terminal, and C++. It reminds me of an old friend I haven't seen for almost 10 years. It makes me reach out to him to talk about the old times. So thank you, Rudra, the 13-year-old engineer, for reviving this flavor and making it official in the Ubuntu family for more people out there. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.